Welcome everybody to another episode of Grimm Tales Deep Cuts. I am your host, Gabri, and tonight we are talking about Daddy's Head. This one was I won't say highly requested one, but it was mostly requested. And I had claims of people saying that this was one of the more disturbing films that they watched of 2024. So that's a bold statement because, Terrifier 3 came out in 2024. Now, mind you, this is not a slasher film, so I won't necessarily put it against Terrifier 3. But to say that this is one of the more disturbing films of 2024, okay, you piqued my interest. Let's see what those claims are, right? I'm going to say right off the bat that the hype that was given to me was not... You made this... My bar got raised because of the hype that was given to this. And it did not live up to that. They didn't live up to it. I'm sorry. I will go more into that and why I feel that way as we go into the show. But I wouldn't even consider this a top contender in the top 10 of best horror movies that I've seen of 2024. I won't even say that. I wouldn't even go that far. It wasn't the worst movie I've seen, but guys, damn, the hype that was surrounding this film, shit, it was just not there. I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm just losing it. Maybe. But Daddy's Head, nah. Not a good movie, and I will go more into that as we go. But before we do all that, of course, we have to get the other stuff out of the way. As always, this is Grimm Tales Deep Cuts, and you should go to that website right there, hulisvision.com. Everything regarding deep cuts, regarding the podcast, regarding all the other shows that I may do, anything that I do, because that's what Hulis Vision is. Anything that I do project-wise on the internet for you guys to enjoy is there. Everything from the gaming stuff to the podcast stuff to even short form stuff where I just talk and tell you about things, whether it's about my life or anything else. You'll find all of that and more at the website hulisvision.com. You'll also find the Discord server, which is very important. Some people just don't know that the Discord is the best way. Yeah, you can go to the social media pages, and we do say definitely follow them because we use them very, very, very often. But the Discord is the best way to contact us, to chat with us, to talk to other people that I am involved with as well, and to also get involved yourself. If you want to be on a podcast or a game night or something else, you want to actually be involved in it, that's the best way to go about it. It is the 100%. Get in the Discord. You will find that on the website. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, hit that notification bell, stay up to date with everything that I do across the board. Also, find all the other platforms that I do, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble. It's all on the website. Check it out. Find it. Love it. Share it. It's all there. You'll also be able to find ways that you can contribute to help Hulis Vision grow. You'll be able to find donation links. You'll all be able to find the merch store, which the merch store is up and running and it does have merch in there for you to enjoy. So check that out. Some things have been repurposed and there's some new stuff in there that was never there before. So check it out. All that and more, hulisvision.com. It's all there. Check it. Hopefully this episode finds you well and hopefully you enjoy what I have to say because I have you for the next 15 to 30 minutes. Usually about 30. We're usually averaging out about 30 minutes now because, that's usually how long it takes. Sometimes we drop off at around 20, but it's mostly 30 minutes. So hopefully you enjoy. Hopefully I keep you entertained for that period of time. But with that said, let's talk Daddy's Head. This movie, this movie had a good aspect. I had a good theme, right? And things that I thought this movie was supposed to be would have been better if they were. This movie, I can still sit here and again, we don't spoil things here anymore. I mean, some of the other, on the podcast, we spoil shit 100%. And maybe in the first couple episodes of Grimm Tales Deep Cuts, we did because we thought we were going to follow the same concept of the podcast, but we don't do it anymore. If you've been watching this long, then you know how Deep Cuts works. I'm not going to go into that. But I can sit here and tell you I have no fucking idea what this story was about. I don't know, because they purposely made this movie like that. The movie, and I hate this, right? I don't like there's a place for interpretative movies, if you would say, movies that are made to be interpreted, right? There is a place for those. 100% there is a place for those. I don't necessarily like them to be in my horror films. I don't want them to be there. They shouldn't be in my horror films. This unfortunately tried to be like an art piece. That's what it felt like. It felt like this film was trying to be an art piece, and I did not like that. It tried to be a message driven film, right? It tried to have like it wasn't even trying to be a fucking traditional horror movie in the sense that what it was. It was like, hey, this is a movie about family trauma and how people get over it. And it's just like, okay, you're trying to be deep. All right. Now you're trying to be a serious film. So I've said this on other shows that if you're trying to be a serious film, I'm going to judge you accordingly. And they tried to be a serious film with this film. They were trying to drive a message. They were trying to be taken really serious with this film. And it wasn't that great. Like, the acting wasn't really that good. The pacing was garbage. The story, like, there was barely any fucking story. It just kind of just drove with this theme that it was trying to go with. And it was like, hey, this movie exists. This is what we're going to do. And then we're going to go from there. And for a creature feature, which I will get into that's what this film was. I expected more. Without spoiling the film, the creature should have been in the film more than it actually was. I hate when creature features or monster flicks, or let's even go with slasher films. Let's say you make a slasher film, but you only ever get to see the slasher twice in the whole movie. What the fuck was that? That's what this was. This was like a creature feature that barely showcased the creature. It was in there, sure, but it was actually also very underwhelming too. I'll say that the creature in this film, while absolutely interesting, fell short of what it was trying to be. I originally thought, now again, I will say this because going forward, I said this earlier in the show, I thought that this film was going to be about a skinwalker. And I've grown up around the stories of skinwalkers. I know quite a lot of people who are terrified of the concept of skinwalkers, which, I mean, fair enough. The concept of it is quite creepy. And that's what I thought this film was going to be. Now, mind you, I don't remember exactly what country this movie was based in. I don't know. So maybe Skinwalker's theme wouldn't work anyway, because that's primarily a Native American concept, a legend. So I don't know if that would have worked, but I mean, it felt like that's what they were trying to go for. And if they would have done that, then I probably would have been a little more interested in it. What we landed up getting was a non-explained creature feature. Like the directors, basically, the only thing that was said about this was, and this was really a letdown, was because compared to what it could have been, compared to what they wanted it to be, was the creature was a manifestation of the child's grief. So was it real? Or was it just, like, I think it was really like, it was like they were trying to be Inception, but not good, right? Like, because Inception is an open-ended movie that has an open-ended type of ending, right? You know, there is no definitive answer to the end of Inception. So everybody has an interpretation. Even I've had an interpretation, but that movie was clever, and it was very brilliantly written, and it was okay for what it was, and you accepted that. You don't always want to make these trying to be brilliant movies, because they don't always work, because unfortunately, brilliant directors who make brilliant fucking like pieces that make you go and think, they don't come very often. Like, there's great directors and writers who make great action films, great story, great love stories, great horror films, so forth and so on, but not every one of them make clever films, ones that make you go, ooh, and make you think, right? That's very few in between. So when you are ballsy enough to try to do that, especially in a horror film, where you don't really get that theme of storytelling very often, you don't watch a horror film and go, oh man, that made me think about life. I can't really sit here and think I've ever watched any horror films that have ever made me go, man, that makes me think deep about life. I don't think I've ever done that, because horror movies are just fun. You know, that's what they're supposed to be. They're not supposed to be deep. At least I don't think they're. I can't recall any horror movies that I ever was like, that was great, commentary that made me think about my life. That being said, that's what this movie tried to be. It seemed like that's what they were pushing for. They tried to be a deep movie. They tried to be something serious, and they didn't drive it home. They really didn't. The creature reveal. Man, how can I say it? Like, the concept of the creature was cool. Not very original. And here you go. I will tell you one of the reasons why I thought it was a skinwalker. If anyone's ever played the video game Until Dawn, that's basically kind of what they weren't skinwalkers in that game, but they were similar creatures. And they were very similar to what this creature... honestly, I think that's where the creature design came from. Because it's very similar, the way they moved, the way everything. It was very, very similar. So that's why I think I was I was thinking, oh, maybe this is a skinwalker. And it wasn't. And it was a very big letdown that wasn't what I was hoping it was. Like, it wasn't what I was thinking it was. The creature had potential to be a really menacing creature. If they would have actually used it more, I think. If they would have actually used it more, it would have been delivered well. I don't think there was any chance that this movie was ever going to be a great movie, but it could have definitely been a better movie if the creature was actually used more. What I think, and I will say this now, what I think this movie had a problem with is this movie was trying to be something that it wasn't. Or no, it was trying to be something else, and it landed up being what it is. So when you watch this film, you're expecting this creature feature and everything, and they were just trying to be a serious film. And they weren't really good at telling that serious tale. Like, I'm not watching this film to try to... If you're going to make a film and you're going to want to make it about like family trauma and shit like that, okay, fine, right? Even if it isn't a horror film. I'm not saying that there's no place for that. But if you're going to try to go deep, you better have good acting and you better have a good story. Because if you don't have good acting and you don't have a good story, that whole thing just falls apart. Miserably falls apart, mind you, okay? And that's the problem that I think this movie suffered from. It wanted to be this great storytelling platform for something. It wanted to tell you about family trauma and do it in a horror movie setting. Okay, great. And the creature had potential to be an interesting creature. But they just weren't prepared for making that film, I guess. They dropped the ball more than once. There wasn't really any point of this film where I was like, oh, okay, that was good. There wasn't. It was not good. The acting was very poor. The driving force of the story was barely there. When I say the story, I use that word very vaguely because there wasn't really much of one. And that is very disappointing when you have a movie that is trying to be serious and the story is just not there. Like, what were you trying to do? Are you just not capable of delivering a movie? Maybe that's the case. Maybe this, I don't know. I can't really recall who the director of this film was. Maybe they're just not an experienced director, or maybe the writer is not. Maybe this should even go towards the writer. Maybe the writer of this film is not a very experienced. And you know what, Aaron, I'll put it this way. If this was someone's first movie, I'm not 100% if it was or it wasn't, but if this was somebody's first movie, I'll be a little bit more nicer about it because, it's not a horrible starting point. I've definitely seen people first time in the movie making business and deliver some real stank ass movies. This wasn't a stank ass movie. It just wasn't a good one. And all the hype that was wrapped around this film, guys, shit, like, some of y'all really, really thought that this was a really, really big movie. And listen, you are entitled to have that opinion. And if this movie was the best, like I've said it before, if this movie was your creme de la creme, best horror movie you've ever seen, your bar is not that high. Not even on a story basis. And now, mind you, this is in a category of horror movies that don't always have great movies to begin with, right? Creature features are not always good. There are good creature features, 100%. But there are more stank creature features than there are good ones. Sadly. Okay. That being said, this was definitely at the more bottom of the barrel, sadly. And that is really sad to say, because as much of this movie was hyped up, I was expecting a lot more than what I got. So with that said, let's get into some of the general information before we get into the scoring of the film. This was a 2024 film. Another reason why it was a little bit let down, because I was expecting a little bit more for 2024. This definitely didn't feel like it was something made recently. R rating. Maybe because of the language. Maybe because of the language. There was some language. If you gave this movie, this could have passed as a PG. Like there was a few things that maybe earned it an R rating. This is a light R film, if anything. Borderline PG-13. Okay, borderline PG-13. It does have renting options. Okay, it does have renting options. It's renting and purchasing options, mind you. Its rent is at $5.99. That's pushing it for this film. To be honest with you, it is pushing it. Normally I go, yeah, if it's not more than $6, I'm like, it's not too bad. If I would, luckily I watched this on a streaming service. If I would have rented this film, I would actually have been really mad. $5.99 is not worth this film. It's not. This is absolutely a streaming service film. 100%. I don't even think this movie should be rentable. Purchasable, on the other hand. Oh my God, purchasing on this film. $19.99. I'm sorry. Listen, if you guys paid $19.99 for this film still, oh my God. If I paid $19.99 for this fucking film, I would be furious. This is not a $19.99 film. Not in any way. Streamable. It is streamable on Shudder. If you want to watch this film and you have, you know what? Fucking rent Shudder. Or not rent, but pay for a month of Shudder. If you really want to see this film, don't rent it. If you at least get a month of the streaming service, Shudder, you'll probably get some other movies out of it. So at least that'll be worth it. This movie, it's not. I don't really. I'd be pissed either way about renting this film or buying it. Budget. No budget. I could not find the budget. And again, it's rare that I don't get some financial information. I did get a box office because apparently this movie did go very briefly to theaters and it does have a box office score, which is odd, but I could not get any budget information. So sadly, it's rare, I know, but sadly could not get anything like that. The box office though, let me tell you something. If the budget was less than this, you could make this film. I think you can make this film for $40,000. I could be wrong, 100%, and I probably am. But I've seen movies that were better than this. I will always use this. Terrifier 1 was way better than this film in so many different ways. And it had like a budget. If I don't remember the exact budget. I had it on the podcast when I talked about it. I think it was season 2, I think, season 1. Season 1, we talked about it, I think. And that had a budget of $30,000, and it was what it was, Terrifier 1. There's no way in hell this movie had more of a budget. If this movie had more of a budget than Terrifier 1, I don't know where the fucking money went, but it had a box office of $288,387. That's it. That's all. That is pretty middling for a horror movie. Like way low, flomp level. Unless this movie cost $40,000 or less, this 100% was a failure. Okay. 100% failure. If it was that, then maybe this, almost $300,000 off of a maybe $40,000 budget, maybe that would have been considered it would have been considered a success to whatever it could be. Runtime, an hour and 37 minutes. It definitely ran a bit long. I lost interest. I lost interest before, probably by the 50-minute range, maybe even into the hour. By the hour, I was already uninvested into the hour of this film, and that's not good. I shouldn't have, but it is what it is. So with that said, though, it is that time of the show where we get into the scores. I'm not going to explain how the scoring system works. By this episode, you should already know how it works. If you don't, go back to some of the earlier films, the earlier episodes, and it will be explained. It's pretty much the same rules as the way the podcast used to work, because the podcast doesn't work that way anymore. We moved the scoring system into deep cuts, and now the podcast is more of a discussion forum. That being said, the scoring system pretty much still works the same. So with that, let's get into the scoring, because that is what time it is. Let's go and score Daddy's Head. As always, we start with the story. What did I give the score for the story? I gave it a 1.5. The best I could do. I really wanted to give it less. There was a story. It tried to have a story. Reason why I gave it a 1.5 and not less, like a 1 or even a pile. But man, it was really lack thereof of a story. Okay, it was a really bad story. And that's a shame, because this movie was trying to be a story. Like, it was trying to tell a story. And if you're trying to do that, you should deliver on a story. And this movie, I don't feel like it delivered on the story. I think it dropped the ball big time on the story. Now let's move to the acting. What did I give the score for the acting? I gave it a 2.5. That is the best I can do. Very minimal, it wasn't the worst acting I've ever seen, but it wasn't anything special either. I'm just kind of let down with that as well. And again, I've said this before, you don't need a large budget to have good storytelling and good acting. And I'm sure this film did not have a big budget. It should have at least delivered on those two things. And it failed miserably at those two things. So that's a little bit on the disappointing side. Let's go to the pacing. What did I give the pacing? I gave it a 1.5. Best I can do for that. 100%. The pacing was awful. You didn't really care about the characters. You knew nothing about, which the driving force of this film was the father, right? The story was based around I could say it's in the synopsis, was the loss of the father. But you really don't know shit about the father. You don't even give a shit about the father. They don't give you enough about the father to go, oh man, the father is an integral person in this story. They didn't. You would think they would, but they didn't. Pacing was bad. Character development was bad. All that is all around not good. Let's go to the gore score. What did I give the gore score for this film? 1. Because there was a teeny bit in there. Teeny bit. That's why I said maybe it earned a little bit of that R. It's a light R film, if anything. So maybe it earned that early R. But for a creature feature, I expected more. I expected way more. And this film needed it. This film needed some damn gore. It did. It really did. It needed gore to make this film interesting. I said it before, not every film needs gore and jump scares and all that shit, but this film needed it. Because the delivery of this film was poor. So it needed that gore, and it was not there. It was there, but it was just delivered very poorly, and it was just not very good and not a lot. Not as much as it needed. So 1, that's the best I could do. Production, I gave the score for the production a 2.5. Very bare bones, nothing really special. Camera work wasn't really that good. It was fairly average. Soundtrack at times was non-existent, but it was there. The eerie undertone was okay. And again, it had potential to be a fair movie, but it failed. Production was just not there. It was bare bones, very straight down, very even, just 2.5 out of 5, straight down the middle. With that said, let's go to the overall score of the 2024 film Daddy's Head. What did I give the overall score for it? I gave it a 4.5. That is the best I could do. Below average, nothing special, nothing to write home about. I am sorry, guys, especially to you guys who just, I don't know, love this film. Okay, I mean, I'm not going to dog on you for loving this film. I mean, I love VC Lauren, and VC Lauren likes some god-awful fucking movies, so I won't dog on you for loving this movie if this was one of your movies. But it wasn't the worst film. Again, you see it. I gave it a 4.5. It's a below average, but it's not the worst score that I could give. But it is not a good movie, and would I recommend watching this film? Do I give it my recommendation? No, I do not. Watch it if you must. Please watch it on Shudder if you have to. Don't fucking waste your money on a rental or a buy. $19.99 is not worth this movie at all. And if you purchase this movie for $19, I am sorry if you regret it, because I get it. This movie is not a $19.99 movie. This is a movie that should have just went to a streaming service and stayed there, and that's it. Don't waste anybody else's money with it. Daddy's Head is a disappointment, and the hype, I think, is what really led this movie to be more of a disappointment than it is. This movie was very hyped by a lot of people, and I just don't get it. It's not really my thing. And I like creature features, right? And again, I've said that there's definitely more stink creature features than good ones, but there are good ones, and when they're done right, they are good. This just was not one of them, and that is a damn shame, because I was looking forward to watching this film, and it landed up being a little disappointing. With that said, though, it is time for us to get the hell out of here, so let's talk about it. HuelessVision.com, you see it right there. Go to it. Everything is there. This episode and more. Everything Deep Cuts will be there. Everything Grimm Tales podcast will be there. Some of the older season 1 and season 2, when we were doing it in that format, we had the scores. You can see some of the movies. Maybe we'll even do some of those movies here, because not everybody who's watched Deep Cuts are going to watch the podcast. So maybe we'll even eventually do some of them, because we did Terrifier 1, we did Terrifier 2, and we wanted to do Terrifier 3, but we landed up doing Terrifier 3 as the very first episode of Grimm Tales Deep Cuts. We landed up doing that because it was great timing when we were releasing Deep Cuts. So again, find all that and more. This show, other Grimm Tales content, other things non-related to Grimm Tales, stuff like game nights, the podcasts of other formats, the other movie thing that I do, which is The Quest. You'll be able to find that. If it's not there already, it will be there. You'll also be able to find all of our other social media accounts that we are on. YouTube, of course, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, so forth and so on. You'll also be able to find our Discord server, which I've said in the beginning of the episode, and I always say it is the best way to reach us, talk to us, discuss things with us, and also request maybe content or to be a part of something like the podcast. All that can be found and more on the website, so make sure to check that out. It is very, very, very important that you do it. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, hit that notification bell, stay up to date with everything that I do across the board. Everything is there, okay? Everything is there. Make sure to leave your comments down below if you agree or disagree with what I had to say. If you really love this movie and you want to tell me how much of a fucker I am for not liking it, get down in those comments down below. That's what it's there for. And I will do my very best to all the comments that are not trolls. I will do my very best to comment back with you. But if you really, really want to have a discussion, again, the Discord is the way to go. But with that said, like I said, make sure to check it out. HuelessVision.com. Check out the merch store. Check out all the other videos. It's all there. Check it out. But with that, I'm going to get the hell out of here. I hope this episode finds you well, as always. And if you're watching this on release, I hope you have a great weekend. Until then, though, I will see you on the next one. Peace out, peeps.